If I told you that these anime girls fighting in these nearly naked suits is not really important to the plot but is used to ask deep thematic questions about society, identity, and personal empowerment, also addressing issues like fascism and sexual abuse, while talking about trauma, self-acceptance, human connection, and shame, would you believe me? Well, whether you do or not, it's true. Come on, it's time to give you a little bit of history lesson. In 2007, Studio Gainax came up with one of their most critically acclaimed shows, Gurren Lagann, continuing their streak with producing peak mecha shows. Shortly after success though, in 2011, director Hiroyuki Maishi went, man, I'm gonna do my own thing, and grabbed the assistant director Masahiko Otsuka and went off and established Studio Trigger. Known for the unique style of vibrant and energetic animation, they're a very highly beloved animation studio in the industry. But their rise and popularity started with one little anime in 2013 calledヒトラーさんは、ファッション、ファッション、ファッション、ファッション、In 2013, in a bar in Tokyo, both our gods that created Studio Trigger was having a beer talking about Hitler. Don't ask me why. During their conversation discussing the uniforms that the Nazis wore, Hiroyuki Maishi suddenly had a golden idea strike in his mind. He immediately got up and left for Studio Trigger, rushing to his writing board, cooking up one of the greatest animes that you'd think the screenplay for. Suddenly fell right from heaven, instead of having the idea come from two dudes having a discussion about Hitler in a bar in Tokyo. This is how Kill la Kill came to be. This is our planet. It's big, bigger than any of us could ever imagine. Yet, next to the sun, it's absolutely tiny. But as humans that live on the Earth never looks up at the sun in fear, we look up at the giant ball of gas and exclaim to ourselves, whoa, amazing. We could never make out a proper size of the sun in our minds. That's just how big it is. But just because of the power something holds, we shouldn't be living in fear and oppression, but wanting to reach out to it and wanting to grab it with our hands. That's what it means to look up to someone. No matter how much more sparkling they are, it should never blind you, but be able to look them right in their eyes and let that sparkle reflect in your eyes. Obviously, if the sun just comes at us about to consume our planet with us, we'd be absolutely terrified. But what it does is just stay there and give us the heat and light we need to survive. Well, for now, but that doesn't matter. One thing all of us humans have in common is that when we close our eyes, we all see darkness. When you think about it, you realize that we're all just the same. The Earth needs all of us to be complete. My life matters, yours does too. Every single person that's alive, their lives also matter. If you take one thing out of the equation, it just wouldn't be complete. That's the absolute truth of this world. And what reminded me of that was Kill la Kill. It smacked me right in the face and told me to look how this world is and its beauty, how it's supposed to be, how it's meant to be. It showed me something so beautiful I just wouldn't have been able to look away even if I tried. That's just the absolutely fucking awesome thing about this anime. And what makes it a masterpiece. The anime opens in a classroom that seems just like any other. The teacher taking history lesson about Hitler and fascism, but suddenly bursting through the door, a giant man comes storming in. In appearance, he's bigger and stronger than anyone else in the classroom, visually making it very clear to us the difference of power he has from any other student in there. He's there right now because there is someone in that classroom that wants to go against Honnoji Academy, the school that they're present at. Despite the guy's best efforts, he's dragged outside and beaten up, showing us that no one can go against the leading power there at Honnoji Academy. This opening scene in Kill la Kill geniusly shows us what the whole show is supposed to be about, and also sets up our antagonist perfectly. After the guy having mercilessly beaten up, we see the person that rules the academy. With a single and loud step making her presence known, we see Kiryuin Satsuki standing at the very top, shining down at the people beneath her. With this scene, we understand how the school works, how it's ruled by a single person alone, pushing her power down to these people, and anyone that goes against her will be shown no mercy. We also get a brief mention of how the hierarchy in Kill la Kill is shown through their uniforms. Goku uniforms, made with a special type of fiber called the life fibers, that boosts the strength, speed, and durability of the wearers, is what's used to show the difference in power between people. This doesn't go just for the students, but all of Honno City, as the school basically rules over the whole place. The No Stars live at the very bottom of Honno City, in poverty's stricken slums. As the name suggests, they essentially just wear uniforms with no stars on them. 1 stars with significantly better living conditions. They also get uniforms comprised of 10% life fibers, which even though not a whole lot, boosts the ability of the wearers. 2 stars with even better living conditions and having 10% more of life fibers added to them. These uniforms are provided to the club presidents at the school, while the no stars and 1-star uniforms has no difference when it comes to the design of each type. 2-star uniforms appearance are based on what type of club the person is the president of. 3 stars, the highest ranking Goku uniforms, made from 30%, are exclusively worn by the 4 devas that directly serve Satsuki, as well as assuming club president Yuri, who is responsible for making the Goku uniforms. The 3-star uniform is able to transform into different forms, and each form being unique to its wearers. It also gives them special powers based on their acting role at the academy. These designs for these uniforms comes from the military. The boys' uniform coming from the army and the girls' uniform coming from, as its look suggests, being a silly uniform from the navy. Now these are modeled after the military just for stylistic purposes, but since Kill la Kill being an anime with one of the main messages basically being fascism bad, it's to show how Satsuki is using the students that Fair sees as soldiers, in her words, to pave the way to humanity's future. But this isn't just something that's tied into the plot, but it also holds a lot of historical significance. Satsuki basically representing Amaterasu, the goddess of sun. We see the sun reflecting right behind her multiple times in the anime, and all of Honno City, including Honnoji Academy that she rules, basically being the representation of state Shinto. During the Meiji Restoration, the emperor was made to believe to be a descendant of the goddess Amaterasu, as they wanted to push the Shinto religion on all of Japan. Kill la Kill uses Satsuki and Honnoji Academy to mock this era and what they did with Japan during that time. Not only this, but kamuis, which are sentient superpowered garments made of 100% life fibers, are also tied into Shintoism a lot. Kamui, or god drops, basically meaning clothing of god. The name itself is supposed to be a pun on kami, in this case the kami being Amaterasu, who was a chief deity of Shinto. In Kill la Kill, for the kamuis to activate, they need to sacrifice a bit of their blood, portraying the life-consuming loyalty that comes with wearing kamuis. Even though this doesn't go for Ryuko, as she and her kamui is a special case, for Satsuki, it takes a good toll on her body when she wears her kamui. Shinto mainly promotes purity, sincerity, and gratitude as its primary virtue. Satsuki's kamui, which is called Junketsu, literally means purity, reflecting on one of the primary virtues of Shinto, as it's also made with 100% life fibers, unlike Ryuko's, which also consist of human DNA, which is one of the reasons it's called Senketsu, meaning pure blood. This isn't where the historical symbolism in Kill la Kill ends. There's a lot more, like Honnoji Academy being based on Honnoji Temple, where the assassination of Oda Nobunaga happened. But we'll be here forever if we start to go into that. But something else we can go into is the unique art style that Studio Trigger has. Their character designs, while sometimes being super simple, still manage to be extremely unique. Let's look at the character designs in Little Witch Academia. The design for Akko, who is the main character, is extremely simple. He literally just looks like any normal girl. Yet, if I showed someone a silhouette of her, they'd be able to immediately tell, oh yeah, that's Akko. Part of it is the unique art style Trigger has of combining Western cartoons with the anime style, and also using the squash and stretch technique for a lot of their character animation, which is basically expressive faces and big eyes is something you'll find a lot in common with Trigger characters. They're also able to set their characters apart just by adding small aspects to their character designs that makes them unique, like Akko's small ponytail, Luluko's tarpin, or Rika's gigantic thighs. All these things can obviously also be found in Kill la Kill. Ryuko's iconic red highlight on her bangs, Mako's bowl cut and her big eyes, and Nonon's music-themed uniform and her bangs. S-tier character design, by the way. Ignoring Nonon because I just want to mention her because I love her. Others have inclusions of very subtle details that really really gives them an individualized and unique feel. Not just the character designs, but the clothes they wear and the backgrounds are all very carefully designed and constructed with a lot, and I mean a lot of thought put into, to perfectly fit the vibe of the anime, and to also add an extra layer to the characters, and also the locations in the anime. But I guess that should be obvious since it's an anime which revolves around clothes. Going into Kill la Kill, I never expected it to turn into what it was. I was fully just expecting to get what I was seeing on screen. A cliche story with flashy fights and, almost naked girls. And I was all for it. Sugar has the ability to take a cliche story and turn it into something very special. I've seen it with Promare and I knew killlakill was still going to be really great and fun. To the me that went into this thinking that I really wish I could punch a hole through your face. Well, maybe no. I wouldn't necessarily say I had my expectations low, but it didn't really cross my mind. A show like this could end up telling such a powerful story. All of me, I wish that one knew that's 10 times more painful than Tsuru's worst death. I should have known never to underestimate Sugar. That's my own fault. But then again, because I went into the show like that, witnessing the tale that unfolded before me, it hit me hard. There were parts of the show that spoke to me and parts of the show that inspired me. Killlakill is the type of anime that you won't come across twice. What Sugar managed to pull off with it is something to be remembered for as long as humanity lives. And if we're gonna talk about what makes it so special, we need to start with
fear is freedom! Subjugation is liberation! Contradiction is truth! Those are the facts of this world! And you will all surrender to them! You pigs in human clothing!
My back! My back!
Long ago, an extraterrestrial organism came and landed on Earth. They were kind of a parasitical organism called a life fiber, gaining from the biological life energy of other organisms. But since the host couldn't withstand the strain of having the life fiber in their bodies, they chose to cover them instead. The life fibers chose the most well-developed brain, which were the Homo sapiens. This accelerated their evolution. When eventually the life fibers entered a dormant state, the humankind was still left with an instinct to cover themselves. Years later, Kiryuin and Ryuko made contact with the original life fiber, causing its awakening. Ryuko married Soichiro to get access to the skills and did experiments surrounding the life fibers. They eventually gave birth to the one and only Kiryuin Satsuki. When Satsuki turned 1, Ryuko attempted to fuse her with the life fibers, which ended up in failure as she was too old for this by that time. Because of this, Ryuko decided to give birth to a second child. Immediately after her birth, she attempted to fuse her with the life fibers, but again meeting failure, she disposed of the child. Soichiro couldn't take any of this anymore. He decided to tell Satsuki about everything, the evils of her mother and what the life fibers really are about. Soichiro faked his death and fled from there, creating a secret organization to oppose Ryuko. Satsuki stayed there, going along with whatever her mother said, putting on an act, waiting for the time she could strike against her. She abided to all her wishes, enduring all the abuse physically and mentally she had to face from her mother. She had to steal her heart, be stronger than ever, and knew in order to face her mother, she needed an army of her own, which is why she pretended to act on behalf of Revox, so that her mother will fulfill some of her needs, like building Honnoji Academy. But in secret, it was all to rebel against her. She was building an army of students she would use to go against her mother. And even though none of this is revealed to us, that's the Satsuki we see at the start of the anime. An arrogant, cold-hearted, and ruthless person that was ruling over a whole city, pushing down her power onto the people, forcing them to follow her. But to seemingly put a dent to all her plans, a person arrives, which is when things at Honnoji Academy takes a small change. Satsuki used to be a kind-hearted girl. Even though she had to steal her heart for her rebellion against her mother, we can still see a remnants of this, especially during her interactions with people she knew even before her father revealed everything to her. Satsuki always stands the highest position at Honnoji. The only person she ever allows to go above her is Jakusei and Nonon, one of the 4 Dewas. Even if she still keeps her distance from them, they are the only people you could ever call her friends. But unlike the other Dewas though, Nonon has a special relationship with her. While everyone in the academy ever addresses her with Sama, Nonon sometimes calls her Satsuki even jokingly asks her during a scene, "She can't be above me like this, can you?" To which Nonon replies, "This is one of the only times we see the human side of Satsuki that cares about others, and not just the fearless and oppressive leader." We also see this with her butler, who served her since she was little. The scene where we really understand what's going on is the infamous butler. The Satsuki that stood above everyone till now was seen to be vulnerable. We see this through her helpless expression and the act that was being done to her. She was being sexually assaulted by her mother. This was the first time in the whole series where Satsuki wasn't in control of herself. The Satsuki that was seen to be controlling every single person we see till now. The scene is very controversial and I kind of understand why a lot of people don't like it, but I personally think this was a great way to show how inhuman Ryuko truly is, who even sees her daughter as just a tool that she can use, and also makes us realize that maybe there's a deeper reason behind Satsuki's acts. Her proper goal still being unclear. From what the show was showing us, all we could really take away from the early episodes is that she clearly wanted to have a position where she could be at the top and control people beneath her. And when someone arrived at the academy, who seemed like they might put an end to all of Satsuki's evil schemes, she ended up benefiting Satsuki more than anyone else. Not just when it came to her plan, but also breaking a bit of the steel she covered her heart with. The person that made her see that, even though she was doing all this to save the humans from life fibers, the means she wanted to achieve this with was no different from her mother. Ryuko Matoi is the person that brought a change to Satsuki's heart. Ryuko is lonely. The show never really tries to hide this. If anything, they try to spell it out to us pretty hard. I mean, I know Sengetsu is a living object, but her best friend is literally a piece of cloth. In a scene where Ryuko and Mako is visiting Ryuko's old house, she talks a bit about her childhood. Her mother was said to have died shortly after her birth, and from grade school she started living in the dorms as she never really got along with her father much. Or so she says, because we clearly see her that Ryuko wanted to be with the father. She might not have gotten along with him, but it wasn't to a degree where she wanted to live separately from him. She still wanted him in her life, but because she still had to live separately from the last person she knew of as her family, she broke bad quick in grade school and ended up being a delinquent student. In high school, she receives a letter from her father. Upon getting it with no resentment or rancor, she decides to go and see him as said in the letter. Ryuko could have just tossed the letter out the window, completely ignoring it. It's not like she didn't hate him at all. She did hate him at times. I mean, in her eyes, her father basically abandoned her and haven't tried to contact her for years. But she still decides to go and see him. And when she got there, the scene she saw was her father being stabbed in the stomach with a half scissor. Witnessing the death of her father, she finally realizes she knew nothing about him. Maybe there was a reason for him to send her to the dorms. Why did he even get killed? And what the hell is a scissors? She wanted to know the answers to these questions, and that's how her journey starts. A journey where she sets off to fight for the revenge of her father, which transforms into a journey where she fights for answers about herself, her father, and the evils that were happening in the world. Ryuko always needed others in her life. We see this more than ever in episode 7, where Ryuko and the Manganshuku family was able to climb up the ladder to a better life. A life where you could have anything you ever wanted. A life where Ryuko went back to having a dinner alone. Even though everyone else in the family seemed like they were having a better life, she still wished to go back to living in the slums and eating undefinable objects for food as they felt more like a family like that. She needed them and she brought them back. You could say that she's a lover and fighter at the same time.
No, I'm kidding.
Ryuko has insane strength that she built up with the Kamui, and also just her normal physical strength she built up back in school. Even though in many ways she fit into the category, Ryuko is far from the usual delinquent you see in anime. Her personality does fit into the general category of a delinquent, rebellious, loved, and violent in behavior. Yet she still feels very much different from the characters that are commonly presented as delinquents. And I think this is a deliberate choice made, because I think the creators didn't really want Ryuko to fall into a title that could describe her, as I don't think there's really a single word I could use to describe Ryuko. I don't think even 3 would be enough. At the start, yes, your general impression of her would be, oh, an angry and edgy delinquent. There are still scenes and moments that kind of breaks this generalization that people might make of Ryuko's character. Especially when we start to see more of her, it becomes very hard to put her into specific categories. This really shows how well-rounded and layered of a character Ryuko really is. Her relationships and connections she has with people, past or present, really helps in showing the evolution of her character. Starting with Sengetsu, who, while I think Satsuki is the one that's the most crucial for a lot of her development, we need to talk about Sengetsu first to get into it, as he's part of the thing that the show basically revolves around. Clothes. Commonly described as items foreign on the human body. But is that really true? Are we wearing the clothes or are the clothes wearing us? This is the question that killlakill throws at us and actively works to destroy, blow up, shoot, boom, send an airplane at, throw at a cactus, meets up with the big T, and explode the idea that clothes, an item made by us humans for us to wear, ends up wearing us instead. But what does it even mean for clothes to wear us? That sounds dumb. And if anything, the characters in the show are barely even wearing any. If you're someone that thinks this, you're getting thrown into a volcano, dude. In Kill la Kill, like I explained before, clothing represents both power and the social hierarchy. Higher of a position you're in, the more powerful and elaborate your clothes become, visually reinforcing authority and control. Kill la Kill uses clothes to tell a story about the abuse of power and self-expression. The clothes you wear shouldn't be what represents who you are. The clothes you wear are just clothes. You're the one that needs to show what you truly are like. Even if you're wearing a suit that exposes a lot of your body, you can still get people to look at you with respect. And we see that with Ryuko. At the start, even she was embarrassed about having to wear senketsu. And because of that, everyone around her was looking at her with lustful eyes. But as she learned to accept him and wears him with no shame, the way people look at her also changes. The relationship dynamic between Senketsu and Ryuko and Satsuki and Jingetsu alone is enough to talk about a lot of the show's themes and messages. Senketsu and Ryuko has a relationship of mutual understanding. They're both trying to understand and support each other. Their relationship can also be seen as an allegory of a teenager going through puberty. Sometimes during that period of time, it might feel like everything in life is changing and things can get very confusing. This is exactly what Ryuko felt when coming to contact with Senketsu first. With the father's death, she was already a bit of a mess. And though for some reason this weird-looking cloth that speaks is forcing her to wear him, why? But as the show goes on, they come to understand more about each other and forms a genuine connection of care. Without Senketsu's support, she wouldn't have been able to wear him without the shame. After Mako yelling, "Rip it off and get naked," she understands that she needs to stop rejecting him out of embarrassment and embrace him instead, and that she truly needs to get naked for them to be one. That's what it means to wear a kamui. Senketsu was yearning for a genuine connection, and Ryuko understood that. With growth, they go closer, or with getting closer, they grew. You can look at it either way. This is the main reason for why Senketsu's visual form is a sailor uniform, to exhibit the time period of a teenager that's about to grow into an adult. When it comes to Jingetsu, is there similar reasons for it to be called a wedding dress? Short answer, yes. Jingetsu's literal meaning is purity or chastity. In Japanese culture, wedding dress symbolizes purity a lot. Satsuki, to wear Jingetsu, has to force herself through it. Unlike Ryuko, who's able to wear Jingetsu more comfortably, the burden of wearing Jingetsu is much heavier. And this is exactly another reason why it's called a wedding dress. Wedding dresses are among society's strongest ritual garments. And through making Jingetsu resemble one, the series emphasizes the oppressive fate and loss of autonomy that comes from forced marriage. Obviously, no one in Kill la Kill is getting married, so it's not supposed to directly represent marriage, but through that, it's showing how her mother is forcing her ideology onto Satsuki and her having to follow it. Senketsu and Jingetsu perfectly contrast each other, one representing a relationship with consent and mutual understanding, while the other is much more forced. Both pieces of clothes eventually leave its wearers, and I absolutely love the way the show does it. Jingetsu, Satsuki understanding its danger, decides to remove it from her body herself, while when it comes to Senketsu, he's the one that leaves Ryuko. He knows that she doesn't need him anymore. Through their relationship, she has reached a point where she doesn't need to depend on Senketsu anymore. Sailor uniforms are made to be grown out of, and she has grown into an adult, and the path that represented her teenage must be put to rest. Now, free to wear whatever you like. That's what their final moments together symbolizes. As he leaves her, she falls down from the sky to a group of people that has all let go of something and is about to start life anew. A life where they can all build an identity for themselves without depending on anything or having anything forced on them. They can choose their own path and their own life. Live life on your own terms and embrace your identity without having anything forced on you. That's what it means to be a human. And that's what Kill la Kill stands for. In this day and age where everything feels like it's going to shit, and in many ways feeling like your life might not even be in your control anymore, it's a much needed reminder and message to everyone in the world. A reminder that no matter what the fuck is happening, your life is your own. You can live it however you like, as long as you can respect another that's doing the same. Reject conformity. Tell those people to fuck off and that your life is not theirs to control. It's yours and only yours. You're the only person alone to decide where you want to take it. There's only one steering wheel in a car after all. And if you really know where you want to go, which you have the ability to, even if things might seem confusing at times, there might be 10 different paths in front of you and you might not know what to take. But if you just believe in yourself, you'll never lose your way.